Hey, everybody, and welcome back to the VantagePoint Church Quarantine After Party. As you might know, we're in the midst of a series called How to Survive Quarantine Without Killing Each Other. And this is a space for us to dive deeper into the topics that we're learning about on Sundays. And my name is Dale Chamberlain, and I'm here with Jill Marquez and Valerie O'Brien.
Hi.
And thank you both for being here. And, as we continue to live in a world of COVID lockdown, I don't know if you guys have felt this way, but I've definitely felt some moments where it feels less like this is a temporary thing and more like this is just our life now. And that can be discouraging. But I definitely think we're at a point now where we're getting closer to the end of this thing than we are the beginning. And while this hasn't been an easy time, there have actually been good moments that we can be thankful for. And so, let's just take a moment to shout some of those out. Val, what's been your favorite part or your favorite thing to do during quarantine?
I think for me, top one is not setting an alarm. I don't know why.
That's good.
I'm like going to bed and I'm like, oh, I don't actually have to set an alarm for anything tomorrow morning. So that's been really nice. And then I think also there have been moments where I get to see Liam's progress in school and like words we weren't able to get at the beginning of quarantine. Sounds so terrible, but it's true. Now he's like accomplishing them. And it's not to say like we're spending hours doing schoolwork at all, but it is kind of neat. Like, oh, his teacher would have seen that. And I get to see that, a glimpse of his progress. He's only in kindergarten. So if he can spell the word please, we're really excited about that.
That's really exciting though. That's fun.
Yeah, that's cool. I'd say for me, first of all, thank you for having me and give me an excuse to do my hair because I haven't done it since last Friday when we did this. So thank you. Oh, yay. And then I also wanted to say, I think one of the things that I like the most about quarantine has been seeing my kids go out and play with the neighbors. We've had other kids on the street and every once in a while, like they've kind of matched up, but one of the kids is at gymnastics all the time in our previous life. And then two other kids are just busy. I think one of them plays sports. And then even our next door neighbors are just kind of young, but they're also, we found out, the same age as our little one. And so all of these kids have been on the street playing, washing their hands, but playing on skateboards and scooters, and the older ones can go around the block. And we try in real life to parent as much as we can like it's 1985 and let them be free. But I feel like this is one of the first times they've been truly free. I mean, the 4-year-old, we're out there with her when she's there by herself, but typically when all the kids are there, it's so neat. So I'd say seeing our kids go outside and play every day has been really cool.
Yeah, it feels like we're definitely, it's a different kind of life where kind of like the busyness of modern life, can kind of feels like it gobbles up all of our schedule. And it is times like this where we have a little bit more forced free time that we can have those moments that are just unplanned and they're just fun. I think for me, that's been one of the things that's just been the most enjoyable for me. And then also just with my son, who was 6 months when the stay-in-home order first came down, and he's now 8 months old. So he learned how to crawl during quarantine. And so hanging out with him has been fun. He's currently pounding on the door. I don't know if you can hear him. He's noises.
I can't. Yeah. He loves you. He misses you.
Yeah. So, but that's just been a lot of fun, and just getting to rest. There's freedom in not having a full calendar and not having a packed schedule, even though there's some times where you feel like I'm so bored, I'm going to die. But there are just moments where it's like an adult summer vacation. So it's been nice. Well, this week's message was all about being an encourager, and we centered on 1 Thessalonians 5:11, and it says this: "Therefore, encourage one another and build each other up, just as in fact you are doing." And really, that's a key to surviving quarantine and not killing each other, but that's also just a key to thriving in relationships in general. And during his message, Pastor Mark, he encouraged us to be the chief encouragement officer for our family, our friends, or coworkers. So what are some practical ways that we can be an encouragement to others?
Well, I loved what he said about when you see it, when someone comes to mind, when you see something, to just send a text right away. I thought that was so good, so practical, because you forget, and I'll see something that reminds me of a friend, and I think, oh, that's weird. But during this quarantine time, I've been more in touch with some older friends because we have some weird free time with our phone, and so that's been really good. And then, but that also makes me think again, as a teacher, you're taught this, is you always lead with a compliment. It can be the worst kid, but you need to find a way to get them to buy into you. And so I've been at meetings, I've sent emails, and I mean, I've said things like, wow, your kids got such great attendance, and like, that's amazing. Like, I wish they would be absent more sometimes. Like, that's how good they are. And it's like, there's always something to be positive about. And so I love that reminder that no matter where you're at, your situation, there's so much that we can be sharing and spreading. I really appreciated that.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I loved Chief Encouragement Officer. Like, that was something that really is sticking with me. I think it's just easy to get in. Like, I loved his example too. Like, did you brush your teeth? Oh my gosh. Like, the restroom, even just before 8 a.m., you have all these conversations with your kids. And so that was really good. But I feel like smiling is so simple. I went to Costco the other day, and it's so hard with the mask to like encourage someone without being able to smile. But I love, it's like being reminded, like eye contact, or just, acknowledging. We did our kids' devotional 2 nights ago, and it was about body language and how you can communicate so much more with just your body than your words. And I thought, okay, like, I'm going to take that as a challenge too, that like, if my mask is covering my actual smile, how else can I be encouraging people when I'm out shopping, or, using my body language to do some of that gesturing?
Right.
That's so good. Totally.
Yeah.
I've definitely felt that too, where I'm in the grocery store, I'm like, oh, I'm smiling, but oh yeah, they don't know what I'm doing underneath this mask.
I heard a podcaster say that she wants to write on her mask, "I'm smiling."
I love it.
Right? I think that's so sweet. Yeah.
Or an actual smile on.
And then it's just one step away though from those scary, like, the teeth
the
coming
Joker
down.
smile.
Yes, exactly. Because there's nothing worse than like saying you're smiling when you're not smiling. So sorry to interrupt. I just thought of that.
Yeah. I really did love that Chief Encouragement Officer illustration as well, because when you kind of think of yourself that way, as like, that's my job. Like, how am I making sure people are staying encouraged? Like, someone in this house has got to make sure that everyone is staying encouraged. So, why not me? That when you really put that level of intentionality, like, hey, this is something that I need to be doing, that I need to be making sure everyone's, staying encouraged and doing what I can to build an environment of encouragement. Then really that's where you can see a lot of fruit come from that. Pastor Martin, he mentioned something about, like, a lot of times we'll have a criticism and we'll let the criticism like fly. But then when we have like a moment of, like, we appreciate someone and then we just like keep it to ourselves. Have you guys struggled with that as well, or experienced that in your own lives?
Experience what part? Like, where someone will criticize us?
I guess, well, no, like, maybe like for me, I think like encouraging things about people all the time. Like, I'm a type 9 on the Enneagram, so I just like everybody. But for like, I will rarely like voice those things.
Right.
Even though I might, like, really appreciate someone, and I might even I'll talk good about people behind their backs. like if they're not in the room, like, I'll be like, Jill, did you see the questions that Val like made for the small groups? Like,
they were good.
They were so good, and it's like such a robust system that she comes up with every week. Like, she's just like pumping out gold every single week. But then, like, when Val gets here, like, I'll just never say that to her, or I'll say to Val, like, Jill was my teacher in high school, and she was one of my favorite teachers.
That's a real fact.
That's a truth.
That's a true
Well, I don't
fact.
know about the
What?
favorite teacher part, but he
Yeah,
was in
it's
my
actually
class.
true.
Yeah.
Whoa.
That Mrs. Marquez was one of my favorite teachers throughout all of high school.
Oh.
And
That makes
now, so ever since I started coming to VantagePoint, like I just get to hang out with her on a regular basis.
It's so
And
fun. It's so
yeah,
fun.
she's just as wonderful as she was when I was in high school. So
Was
Oh
she
my
like 10?
gosh.
Were you teaching at 10, Jill? Is that?
Just bless all of you. It's fine. It's fine.
but yeah, I
Anyway,
will never,
yes.
I won't often say that to people's faces, even though I think that about them all the
Yeah.
time.
Mm-hmm.
I think
Totally.
for me, oh,
Uh-huh.
I think for me, I'm really good at encouraging or texting friends or people outside of the home. But what he made me realize is it's my role in the home. And I think like I'm really guilty of not doing it at all with Michael, my husband. I think I don't know why, but it's just so much easier to encourage someone else than like thinking about the people in my home. So that was challenging for me for sure, convicting.
I actually thought this was such a convicting sermon. And we maybe make a joke about like, oh, encouragement is so like, oh, it was almost emotional for me listening to Mark talk about how important it is to be positive and the power we have over our children. I mean, when he was talking about like, oh, little Anna is always shy, like such a shy, and then you wonder why they are shy.
Yeah.
We are telling them who they are. And so I've heard him say that in different ways in the past. So Jose and I will let our kids overhear us saying good things about them, kind of like you were saying, Dale, but you're purposely like, wow, Macy really paid attention in school today. And we've kind of stopped that because as our kids grow up, we just kind of forget that they need to be encouraged so much. And I'm just getting into it. But when he talked about all of the ways that we discourage our children or our spouses, like, oh, wow, you always do that or whatever. I just thought, oh, that's the habit we are in. And we are all here right now. They're not getting extra validation from their teachers and their coaches right now. So I was like, this is a great sermon, Mark. Thanks a lot.
That's so good. I think that's so true that like they're not getting the encouragement from teachers or from outside people. And I think also just thinking about the conversations like you're saying having behind their backs, I think that goes a long way. So that's a good nugget. Thanks for sharing that. That's something that you and Jose do because sometimes I want to sit him down, my 6-year-old, and like, you did so good today. And that may not even resonate as much as like him feeling like he overheard the conversation.
Yeah. And he's just like, thanks, Mom.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yes. Not even actually looking at me. He's looking at his video games or something.
Yeah. But he's hearing that. It's exactly it. Because they'll hear everything else that you say when you think they're on their video games.
It's true.
So.
Right. And Mark, he talked about just how like life-giving encouragement can be. And he quoted Barbara Fredrickson in her book, Positivity, where she said, positive emotions increase our awareness, allowing us to see the bigger picture and expand our peripheral vision. And really, he went on to just talk about how a lot of times we have a way of becoming the things that we were encouraged to be, or the things that we were encouraged that we already were. Do you have any examples of in your life of someone who encouraged you that in such a way that helped to shape you?
I do. I have a girlfriend who had said something maybe 10 years ago. I know I was just like past 30 because I feel like I was too old to learn this lesson. But she said, like, you're so confident. I just love hearing you talk. And I thought, me? Like, I'm not a confident person. But I realized in that moment where I was saying something that I felt confident about, nobody could tell the difference if I was or wasn't confident. And her telling me that I felt confident made me realize a couple of things. One is you can fake a lot of things about yourself that you want to be true. Like if you believe it, largely it will become true. So I believe I am a confident person. I have a lot of failings and failures and everything, flaws. I was just going with F's on that. But because I've had it said to me, and then because I now say it to myself, it's okay. Like I am confident. I am also confident I will screw up. And that's part of that confidence is like, that's fine. It's fine if you mess up, if you fall down, if all the things. But I'm so grateful to that friend for pointing it out, because I never would have thought of that. And I always wanted, I tell my high school students, I want to, tell my own kids, anybody watching, but you can, if you believe you're confident, you will be. It takes practice, but nobody can really tell the difference when you're not. So that was what but I'm also encouraging myself in that way. So you do have to have positive self-talk, because it's so easy for us to be the hardest critics of ourselves. And I have those moments. Oh my gosh, please. But I also know, like, this is a moment, this is David telling, like, self, why are you in the Psalms where it's like, why are you being so hard on yourself? Like, God, like, go to God, and it can kind of tweak yourself out of those moments.
Yeah. I feel like in the beginning of quarantine, for me, my mind was just spiraling. Like, I could not get a grip of my thoughts. And I started reading, it's called Get Out of Your Head. And just the reminder that we have a choice. And I think that's so helpful, even just in this encouragement talk about, it's so easy to be discouraging or nagging, especially when we're around the people in our home or friends or family, nonstop. And so, but I have a choice to go, nope, I'm going to stop it right there. And I'm going to change the conversation, even if it's 8 p.m. and, I only have so much time left in the day. Like, it's a choice. We don't have to finish that way. I think that was really good. But for me, people, I think I'm such a believer in the fact that I loved that he said words can be a hammer, but they can also be used to build people up. And I think for me, I started in a big corporation at 19 years old. That was totally a God thing. But imagine, like, I'm just out of high school. I don't believe I have any talents or gifts. And so it really took so many strategic managers that God put in my life to believe in me more than I believed in myself, that went, hey, I think this opportunity is for you. You should go for it. And it's like, no, I couldn't do that. Like, no, you really could. I'll be there with you. Like, let's go. And like, that just happened over and over again. And I feel like it also reminded me the power that as we get older, to go back and go, hey, 20-year-old, or hey, 15, I was there with you. Like, I know what insecurities you have. Like, I'll believe in you until you can believe it in yourself. But like, that's just so how God created community. And like, we should be encouraging the next generation, and even, just looking up to the generation ahead of us is like, oh, I want to be what she's doing, or look at building people up and not tearing each other down.
Yeah. And that's such a powerful gift to just to tell someone what you see in them, even when they can't see it themselves. Just someone who's maybe kind of more towards the beginning of their journey, or is you can see a gift or a desire within them that it's just so life-giving to call that out. And that's something that I certainly experienced in my life, where I was thinking about going to seminary after college and really pursuing ministry. But I did have like a lot of just insecurities about that. Like, I felt like the family I was raised in, I didn't really come from like this great like spiritual pedigree. I'm like, do I have, the kind of, character and, personality that's something I'm going to be, good at or successful at or like worthy of. But there were just so many like mentors and friends along the way that just like kept confirming that. Say, yeah, I do see a gift in you. I do see a potential in you. I do see the passion in you to continue moving on that road. And it's so often that we live and die by other people's like words to us, especially when we're like just trying to figure out like where we're going in life. And so it's just so important to give that gift to others.
I just like a silly example too. Michael and I always go back and forth. So our gym is providing the workouts right now online via Zoom, but it's also posted, so you could do it at any time of the day. You don't actually have to drive to a location anymore. And so we're always going back and forth. He's like, just do it with me without going online. Like, just do it. But for me, it really is the encouragement that I get from the coach. It's the, in the middle of the workout, someone going, I can't see you, but keep jumping. And it's like, okay, like I'm going to keep going. And that is so, like, I am so motivated by encouraging words than someone going, you suck, you're the worst. I'm already telling myself that, so I don't think I need more of that. So I totally love the positivity. It goes so much further than anything else that we're all kind of throwing at ourselves.
That's not a silly example. Oh, I have a visitor. Hi.
Hello.
So sorry. This
Hello.
is my youngest. Can you say hi, Harley?
Hi.
I think she just woke up from her nap. So can you go
Oh.
downstairs, sweetheart?
Yeah, and I think this conversation about like positivity, I think there's a lot of pushback in the church that we see against kind of a ironically enough, a positive mentality, where certainly Jesus told us, like, hey, in order to follow me, you have to take up your cross and follow me. In this world, you will have troubles. Those are certainly true. But a lot of times I'll hear people kind of like self-identify and say, like, well, I'm just a sinner. And so this is, just who I am. And this is just what I do. And I'm saved by grace. And I got the hand stamp and I'll go to heaven when I die because of God's grace. But I'm just a sinner. And that's true to a certain extent. But when we look at the New Testament, whenever God speaks about us, so often what we hear through the words of the Apostle Paul or the Apostle John is that we are saints, that we are made holy, that we're set apart, that we're made new, that we're made alive. And so really when we say, like, well, I'm just a sinner, I'm just a broken person, and like that is our overriding narrative, then that's what we're going to lean into. But if we say, like, I am redeemed by Jesus, I am loved by God, I am a saint, God says I'm holy, he says I'm set apart, he says I'm being made pure. If that's the kind of mentality and self-identification we have, then that's what we're going to lean into. And so really I see it like on a fundamental level, like encouraging others is so much more than just saying nice things. It's really just this incredibly life-giving thing that even we see throughout the New Testament, God giving that to us.
Yeah, that's great.
I think that's so good because I think you're right. Like, there are some motivational companies that aren't biblically based at all, but they have so much success because of how God has designed us. Like, he's designed us to thrive as living creatures on, positive energy and positive, influences and encouragement and inspiration. And because he's a holy God, like you were saying. And so I think, but if Christians miss that message and we're trying to, share this good news with people through a very negative lens, that allows, it kind of sets your gospel message a little bit differently even. And I think you can also shy away from positivity messages because you don't want to have like a feel good or a seeker friendly type message. But gosh, like, God made it very attractive. Like, why wouldn't we want to lead with that? Why wouldn't we want to build people up in the process of sharing who Jesus is with them? And so it's good.
Yeah, and Jesus promised that, like, he says, the thief comes in to kill and destroy, but I came that you might have life and have it to the full. And really that's the message that if we take that in Jesus, like, we can have life to the full. And that's not just for, eternal life after you die. Like, that's life today, that we just need to be encouraged and encourage others to step into that life that Jesus is inviting us into.
Yeah.
I love it. Oh, so good, you guys.
Cool. Well, we hope that this conversation has been helpful to you. If you're in a community group, you're going to have an opportunity to dive even deeper into the topic of this week. And if you aren't in a community group, you can join one. You can go to VantagePointChurch.org and you can find a group. We have some online groups that are wonderful. And so we hope to see you there. And even if you aren't able to join a group at this time, you can still dive deeper into this discussion with your family or whoever you're quarantining with. You can just go to the community page on our website and click on group tools, and you can download the discussion guide there. Val and her team, they work on that every week, just giving you resources that are going to help you dive deeper into this conversation. And so those are available to you, and we hope that you take advantage of them. But in the meantime, we hope that you have a wonderful week, and we will see you back here next time.